Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 132 of the Need to Nerd podcast. I'm your host, Heezy, and I'm joined by my co-host, a man who would never be fined $40,000 by the Big 12, Paddy O'Boyle.
Whether it was a face mask or a horse collar, it was a foul nonetheless, unlike the holding at the end of that game.
That was a hold. I mean, you shouldn't have called the hold, but it was a hold. Either way, you should just score points like in the second half, man. I don't know. So,
Yeah. That is a point.
For those who know, Patty B and I are both from Utah, and the Super Bowl of Utah happened last night, and it was a really good game. It's really funny. I think like two drives before the final drive, I was like, I don't even care what happens this game. Like, it was just an amazing game, and honestly, it did not disappoint. Like, as somebody who has left the fandoms and watches from afar now, like, that was worth staying up for. Like, it really was like such a good game and so cool to watch. So
yeah, I mean, I told people earlier in the day too. I didn't have big expectations because it was the guy's first start, but like as the game went on, I got more into it and more like fervorous that we could actually, upset the Stormin' Mormons.
It'd be cool to see, Kyle Whittingham, I think, is a Utah legend, and like going out on a high note would be cool. He's put so many like really cool. Why are you looking confused? You don't think he's a legend?
Do you think this is last year? Well, he is. I
oh yeah, I think.
Do you think this is like his last year?
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah. I think that's why he would say that. I think that's why he was so upset to end the game, right? Like, I think about like, one of the things that are really true across nerding out in sports is like, we all had our last great game of a game we loved, right? Like that we were at the top of our game in, or if you're competitive, or you just finish a game. Like, I remember finishing Red Dead Redemption 2 and being like, I can't believe this is over. Like, I can't believe this is the end. And, I think that's why so many nerds latch on to sports, is because there's always like the next chapter. But for some of these people, that's actually not true, right? Like, people often ask me, like, why did you continue to root for Tom Brady after he left New England? And it's like, that dude brought me 20 years
of happiness.
Like, I would root for that man for anything. Like,
yeah.
And I think for a lot of like people in the state of Utah, like Kyle has brought a level of happiness that these fans had never experienced before. And when you have something like that, right, like a good video game, a good movie, as we'll get into today, or stuff like that, that you get to enjoy again and again, you have to cherish it when you have it. So
yeah, we're not talking about football today, though.
No, we're talking about movies.
We're not talking about the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, we'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys a little bit next week, because
okay.
You've already called for the firing of your coach, and
I called for the firing of my coach when he was hired. Let's be real.
Wait, what's funny is that there is a sports movie that I should put on my list. That is one that I've watched a lot. That I actually will put on my list. We'll talk about it. We will be talking sports. It's not a football movie, though. There's not really good football rom-coms, which is what we're talking about today. Before we do talk about these rom-coms, though, and our need to rom-com, I just want to talk about the Discord. We got fantasy football going in there. That's why we start every week with some kind of sports thing, or video game thing, or whatever we talk about. But it's really cool to see. I think everyone's out of lineup this week in fantasy football again.
I did switch Chase to auto.
No, he said
after weeks of. Did he?
He did. I told him to set it, and he went in and did it.
So, okay.
It's cool to like. It's cool to see like everybody starting to participate, and like, people talking about anime. We've got really unique and amazing people And that's one of the cool things about nerding out is you got unique and amazing people in across many different types of cultures in nerddom. So join the Discord, check it out. It'd be really cool. And then if you don't know, the Switch 2 will be compatible with Switch 1 games, and we're giving out whatever the newest Nintendo console is when we hit 1,000 subscribers, as well as whatever the newest Smash game is. So check it out. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. I have looked, and less than 7% of people who watch on YouTube are subscribed, so you're just missing out on the chance. You're just missing out. With that being said, let's talk about our Need to Nerd Rom Coms. But before we do, we haven't done our Need to Nerd in a while that wasn't like our monthly one. So the way that this works is we talk about our history with the subject, our favorites, like really dive into the type of content. You know, we've done Pokemon, we've done Star Wars video games, I think is the last one I did with you, stuff like that. Like, so, and rom-coms are interesting, right? Because like we're a nerd culture podcast, but I think that rom-coms and film are like this area of film that everybody used to enjoy, everybody used to talk about. And we're going to talk about the depth of rom-coms in this episode. I'm really excited too. But let's dive into it. Our first memories. And it's funny because I think that I watched the Tom Hanks 90s stuff, the Meg Ryan 90s stuff. Like I watched that stuff as a kid, but I don't remember it because I didn't get it as a small child. Like I didn't understand because we had movie nights all the time in my house, but like I often tell people I haven't seen Sleepless in Seattle because I literally don't think, like I think that I was probably just on my Game Boy playing Pokemon during movie night. And like I've seen You've Got Mail, but like, I don't remember it. There's like a few of I almost put While You Were Sleeping on this list for like my earliest memories. But like I don't remember watching it that early. I just remember watching it later in life again. So it's kind of interesting. For me, my like big ones are, first of all, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. My family was obsessed with this movie, Patty B. And I think it's like one of the most quotable rom-coms in history.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I still quote it to this day. You know, what do you mean he don't eat no meat? Or, you know, hey, and we're gonna kill you. It's so quotable.
It's quotable. It's funny. It is just like you know what is unique about this movie is the intro, like them introducing her, like the first, I don't know, is it like the first 5-7 minutes is so interesting, and then like him being the dorky self he is, I think so many guys relate to that because like obviously like they got a really handsome dude to play this character and whatever, but like I don't know about you, but like he's the kind of guy I'm that type of like dorky, just be myself type of guy, and it was always so endearing, I think, to people around me that I was just always myself, and I really loved that. And I honestly I would say that this movie put me on showed me that it was okay to do that in a lot of ways. Like growing up, like, you know, all of my early memory stuff is, you know, I think all three of my, or we're gonna add a fourth one, but all of mine are like 2002 to 2014. Like that's when I started liking girls a lot, and like, you know, these movies became more interesting to me. And My Big Fat Greek Wedding was just one that my family just had on all the time.
Yeah, it's one of the first like movies that my family watched that was kind of in that like realm. If I could point to one like as an actual kid, because most of mine are in the 2010s. I'd say that's the one.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, we got some interesting stuff on our list, but I I think that yours are all like stuff we'll get really far into. But like when did you start watching rom coms?
Yeah, so like I started watching rom coms in like the 2010s. So like when I was a junior senior in high school, um, leaving. It was a time in my life where I kind of leaned into some of the more raunchy comedies that just happened to have romance as like part of the subplot. Um, and so like this is when I was like, a lot of my friends were going on missions. I was leaving the LDS church around this point, and so I kind of latched on to some of the more like um yeah, some of the more raunchier. So like Crazy Stupid Love, um, Friends with Benefits, Easy A, um, some things where a lot of it was initially like the cast. Like I love Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, um, Justin Timberlake. I was actually in love with Mila Kunis, um, and Emma Stone. So you know, um, it was like, oh, it's these actors that I love, and then um, it turns out that the movies are also just super quality too.
I love that. Can I go over a couple of mine? Because I think we're gonna talk about all of yours in depth.
Okay, yeah,
Uh, so my next one was like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is like one of my early memories. This one is unique in a couple of ways because I both watched it when it came out with like my brother and sister, which is like not something that we always did together.
hmm
After my twin little brothers were born, like this is one that I do remember that with. But then it kind of had a resurgence in the 2010s, almost after like 5 to 7 years after it came out, and I think it was because uh like the actors had a resurgence. Like I don't know if you remember this, but like all of a sudden people were quoting How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and like 2021 or 2011. Like all of a sudden people were just like quoting this movie, and now it's even the other day, she posted a video uh, where uh, she like asked she was at a game with her friend in the last 2 minutes and asked them to go get her a drink or something. And I don't like this movie is like very quotable. It's one that I like. I think Kate Hudson is hysterical, and obviously like Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey have blown up since the movie came out, and it's probably why it had such a resurgence. But it was both like an early memory and then like a lasting one that I watched again, like as an adult, a couple times.
mm-hmm.
So, have you seen that
Yeah.
one?
I can't say I have.
You haven't seen
Um,
it? You gotta see it, man. A lot of mine.
there's a lot of things I.
Dude, it's funny. Like when we were making this episode, I like put together a Google Doc, and Betty was like, "I don't think I've seen most of the stuff on your list, Spencer." And I was
Yeah,
like,
I was actually trying to find that earlier. Um,
I'll,
which it's I have
I'll
a
post
theory
it right
about that
here.
that I'll talk
I'll
later.
post it right here for what it's worth.
Okay, great.
Um, that's so funny. Um, my next one, just I want to do two more, and then we can get into stuff. 13 going on 30. This one's kind of special. This came out in 2014. I was 14 years old, and it showed a lot of things, and I think also changed the whole generation. Like I don't want to give too much credit to like some rom com for changing an entire generation, but I do believe that like this movie helped my generation with processing turning 30 years old. Like this like for a lot of people like it's you lose out on your youth when you turn 30. And I think that if I when I talk to my brothers my brother and my sister and like their spouses, like we all have enjoyed our 30s quite a bit, and it you still feel young and capable and stuff, which for a lot of people they didn't feel that way. I mean, part of it is like generations getting older and older and older, but I don't know. It has like a total stellar cast. Jennifer Garner being the main character, and we know her as Elektra on this podcast, but Mark Ruffalo, in his era, Judy Greer, Andy Serkis, like it really does have a stellar cast on this one, and it's so fun. And this is one you also haven't seen, right?
Yeah, I think that's also on my has not seen list. There's so much,
and there's like some epic scenes in this one. The thriller dance, like the plot twist at the end, the whole thing is just it really is a work of art, and was something that I was really glad to get to experience as a young teenager. And then my last one that is an early memory is the sports one I want to talk about, which is Fever Pitch. Have you seen this one, Patty?
Oh, I think I have. I feel like I have. I have a different sports one that's on my list.
This one's so funny to me because I learned more about this movie this year. So for those who don't know, Fever Pitch follows the story of Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon.
Right. I saw this.
Yes. And Jimmy Fallon gets taken to a Red Sox game and given Red Sox season tickets by, I think, his grandfather, and just decides to become a teacher so that he doesn't have to work summers so that he can go to Red Sox games.
Watch baseball.
Yes.
Okay.
And he goes to like spring training, like he's like does the whole thing. And what's so funny is they were filming this movie during
the World season,
World Series season, and they had a different ending where the Red Sox lost. So they're filming the movie at the actual playoff games. Where
that's crazy, like the budget for that must have been like that's so insane to me. Like,
and what's so funny is like they are like, hey, ESPN, like please don't show any of this, and ESPN just ignores them and actually shows the final scene on Sports Center when when they win the World Series. They're like, here's Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon kissing at the event, and it's like, wait, what? Why are they doing that?
Wait, we're making a movie.
But yeah, originally they had the Red Sox losing. They had a different ending for the film, and it's just like I'm not a baseball dude. It's funny. Baseball movies are so good, but like I can't watch baseball.
I only, for what it's worth, I do only watch baseball during the playoffs. Like I can't. It's really hard for me to stay engaged during the entire season. It's a grind, but avid Dodgers fan, born in California, Pasadena, nice. So I saw someone and like I might consider doing it, but they got from this year's World Series, they have Freddie Freeman's like walk-off home run as like the numbers on which what's like a walk-off grand slam. Yeah. Like they got it tattooed on them. I was like, that's really cool. Like it has like the numbers of like the people on the who was on base and like where it went out. Like I don't know. It was a really cool moment. This that was something big this last month for me.
But I do think that like Fever Pitch it's extremely cute, and like one of the things that it does, I don't know if you remember, like when she's sick and he's like taking care of her, like I don't know, their whole thing is just adorable during this movie, and the fact that like they recorded it while it was all really happening, it made the movie so much more magical and better. Like, they really did capture a moment, and it's really cool.
That, and like, I think because of everything surrounding this, I think Jimmy Fallon's like Boston cap is in the like Baseball Hall of Fame. They were talking about this recently, whether on like his late night thing or on Drew's show.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but yeah, how like that cap is like part of like baseball history. It's pretty sweet.
It's like, you know, this is why I want to include it after the beginning segment. It's just like that sometimes things just cross, right? Like we're a nerd culture podcast, and like this crossed sports nerds, movie nerds, film nerds, like comedy. Like Jimmy Fallon is like
love nerds.
Love nerds. I mean, all nerds love.
Yeah.
I just think that it really did capture something, and it like I remember I don't know that I'd ever watched a baseball game in my life when I watched this movie for the first time, and you know I'd seen things like I think baseball movies are just really good. They're really compelling.
Yeah.
But this one was a special rom-com.
Sure.
Let's talk about our most watched rom-coms. Let's dive in. We're gonna popcorn this one. My first one. I'm just gonna get it out of the way. We've already done a podcast on it on this show with me and West. Hitch. Yeah, go for it. Do it. Do the Q-tips, man. If you're not watching, Patty's throwing it away right now.
Throw it away.
You don't need to make the pizza. They got food at the party. I think that Hitch. We'll get into this a lot more in my next one, but Hitch does something special. Like it. One, that movie's hysterical. Like, it's so funny, but it
has no business being as funny as it is.
It's so funny, but also like it sends like a message about love being hard. Like, I mean, there are others on our list. We'll talk about. I mean, you already mentioned Crazy Stupid Love. Like, I think that's a huge message on that one. But like that, like there are so many scenes. And behind the scenes, we lost the beginning of this episode. We're re-recording, and I said something on this in the first recording. Where I was like, I think it's his best movie, and you thought I was talking about Will Smith. And you debated, like, is this his best movie?
It's like, I thought you said something kind of crazy.
Well, but it's definitely his best rom-com.
Yeah, but you were talking about Kevin Smith.
I was. I think it is Kevin Smith's best movie. Like,
yeah, I mean, I get that. Also, partially like because, not Kevin Smith. What am I talking about?
No, that's Kevin James. Kevin James. Yeah, why are you messing me up? Kevin James.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I think like the Paul Blart and Grown Ups, like he does a lot of stuff with.
He's actually
Sandler.
Pretty good in Grown Ups too, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But like, it's not as good as a movie. It's hard to compare. I mean, when he throws the inhaler, like, it's hysterical, but good. Also so endearing.
Yeah.
When he's like, I mean, no, I actually have no doubt. This is Kevin James' best movie by a huge margin.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you doubting yourself? Like,
yeah, I was going through the list, and yeah,
yeah, he says.
So yeah, I was trying to remember. I was like, I saw on the movie list was 50 First Dates, and I guess he played. I was like, what did he? Was he in 50 First Dates?
50 First Dates.
Yeah, he was a factory worker in 50 First Dates.
I don't remember this.
So that me either. That's why I was like, hold on a minute. This is also really good. Yeah, like what part? What am I missing? Like, am I like blocking out his character? No, it just working with Sandler. But that's kind of
To be
yeah. I
fair,
I would
I,
say yeah, probably his best movie.
to be fair, I've never seen Pixel, but I heard that it's like one of the most underrated movies like ever.
Hmm.
Like that it like is inappropriately rated bad for no reason. Like
Huh.
it's another Adam Sandler movie, but like all of those are rated poorly, and that's so much of what Kevin James does. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I think Hitch is fantastic. Your first one you already mentioned, and I haven't mentioned this yet. I didn't put a I made a rule when I was were my most watched because I worked Graves. I used to, for those who don't know, I think I mentioned on the show at least once.
Hmm.
Um, I used to work Graves where I worked group homes for mentally handicapped kids and then eventually adults too. I did both, where we would put them, we would put them, we would help them with their life stuff. Like these are people that just need a little bit of help to be fully functioning. We got group homes together for them, and then like we would drive them to the grocery store and like help them shop. Like, oh, do you really want this? Like, here's your budget. Like that's the type of stuff that we would do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also worked Graves. They're great stories. You'll hear me tell the gnome story on this podcast. I don't think I have. It's not the right time for it, but it's a hysterical story. Um, and during that time, all of them, I think DirecTV donated DirecTV to all of these group homes. So when I'm working Graves,
Mm-hmm.
like that's one of the things that we just had access to was DirecTV movies. And I don't know if it was like came with Stars. I don't remember which channel. But one of the
Yeah.
movies that was on constantly at this time in my
I
life.
think we talked about it during our Deadpool and Wolverine
Oh, what's
review,
that?
because I think we talked about like Green Lantern and some of the other like
Yeah, Green
superhero
Lantern
movies
was one
that
of them.
that
Yeah,
came on
so
just a
a lot
lot
of the stuff on
at
Patty's
night.
list, I've actually probably seen more than the stuff on my list. And one of
Just
them,
because it happened to be on.
yeah, it was just on. I was just like playing like
Yeah.
Clash of Clans and watching the movie or whatever I was doing was Easy A. I've seen this
Yeah.
movie so many times. But why yeah, it's the first one you mentioned. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, as a young man during this time period, I was and still am, for what it's worth, madly in love with Emma Stone. She's in a couple of my favorite rom coms. But particularly Easy A, this cast is fantastic. I There's not like a dull beat anywhere. Everyone pulls their weight, and everyone's character is fantastic. It came out during a time when, like I said before, a little bit like this is around the time when I was like leaving the church, so I kind of like connected with the Scarlet Letter, like ostra um ostracization. I don't know if that being feeling
I I
ostracized.
left the church around the same
Um,
time. I understand.
yeah, and like it is hilarious. It is one of the funniest movies.
There's some like really good moments. I have a couple things to say on this one, but I'll rapid fire at you because it's yours.
Yeah,
First, Penn Bagley. I have to have seen this movie 20 times. I did not even connect the fact that that's who that is. Like Woodchuck Todd being like XOXO gossip. Like I never. That's him. Like I never connected this. The second is the most underrated the most underrated, character in the movie, which is Dill, the dad, played by Stanley Tucci. I don't know if it's Tucci or Tucci.
yeah, Tucci.
Oh
It's never
my
Tucci.
gosh! Like I said, I've seen this
He's
movie. I've seen this movie like 20 times. He does not have a line that I don't laugh at. I don't know if it's his delivery. I don't know if it's the writing. Like I mean, it has to be a combination of everything, but like he's hysterical.
He is so funny, and the couple, her Olive's parents are just play off each other so well. Um, so just like
I like, by the way, I don't know if I've never noticed this before. Their names are Olive, the daughter,
yeah,
Rosemary, the mom, Dill,
yep,
the dad,
yep.
and I can't find the son's name on here.
Give me one
But
sec.
that is funny that it's like,
Well, yeah, it sounds very LA too, right? Like the
sure.
my name is Dill. I married a person named Rosemary. We'll name our daughter a plant as well. Like,
It's very funny.
yeah.
Very funny. You had said something in our recording that I don't want to get lost in this, and like I think the sub themes of this movie are pretty great. Like the the idea that like this all starts for her helping her friend, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
it starts with good intentions and just snowballs.
Yeah, and so yeah, it starts with Olive protecting her friend Brandon, right? He's getting bullied because of his queerness. And so she kind of takes the blame and puts all this on her as far as, being easy. Um and it kind of spirals into um the lie and like how a lie grows and or rumors as rumors spread. Yeah, and it's hilarious. Yeah, I forgot that Penn, like Woodchuck Todd, was
Dude,
was
right?
the
That
actual love
seems
interest in this
so
movie.
crazy when you like.
For how much like I through Shelby watch you. Um, yeah, he's
Oh, is it you, not him? I might have said the wrong thing on the show.
oh gotcha. Yeah, you is
Yeah,
the book series and TV show.
it's a great Fox News clip, by the way. Um, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So, this is one that we will do a podcast on. Like, I have no doubt. Like, this is in our next year of podcasting, which is one that my wife told me she doesn't understand why I love this movie so much. Nobody else feels this way about this movie but me. And then I pulled 5 random friends, and they all feel this way about this movie. It's A Knight's Tale.
Yeah. Which initially I was like, oh, A Knight's Tale, rom com, and then like I started thinking
You think about
about
it for
the movie
like 2
more,
minutes. You're like, oh,
and
it is a
yeah, I was
rom
like,
com.
oh wait, actually, that's kind
It's
of is a
funny.
rom. Yeah, okay.
I do the Smash Do podcast with Matt Kling, and I was like reading him my list. He's like, A Knight's Tale, that's not a rom com. I'm like, oh, it's not? He goes, oh. I
Actually,
guess it actually is. Like,
yeah,
but like that's the thing. Like we talked about Hitch. We're gonna talk about a couple of them that I think just people have this negative connotation. They're like, I don't. That's not a rom com to me because like it's not this cheesy. I mean, this one is cheesy for what it's worth. Like, I'm not gonna pretend this isn't cheesy. Like, they have this like preconceived notion about what a rom com is. A Knight's Tale is one of the best movies I've ever watched. Like, I like actually one of the best. And I think it is a millennial anthem. It's a millennial like it encapsulates so much for my generation of like what a movie could like if you were like give me the millennial rom-com, I'd be like, it's A Knight's Tale. Like it's crazy. But that's what it is. And this movie has a message about people, family, love, status. Like it is both one of the best movies ever that I've ever watched, and is hysterical. Their relationship is so funny. Like it's so funny. He's like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? Like I want you to lose. And he starts losing. Like it's I can't spoil it because like if you are listening to this podcast and have not watched this movie,
You have to go watch
you
it.
have
Like,
to go watch it because
I might watch it tonight.
we're gonna go do a podcast on. Like it's so good. And man, I might cry. Like it gives you the feels that like I don't know that a lot of the movies on our list will like they're just not this good. Like let's be honest. Like this is like I think one is pretty freaking good. And we'll talk about that one on your list. Or maybe it's on mine here in a second. But dude, A Knight's Tale is the rom-com that surpassed what it meant to be a rom-com because it was funny, meaningful. It's funny. Like when I was looking at rom-coms, they were like they included like Silver Linings Playbook, and I'm like, that's a dramedy. Like, I don't even know that the romance is like that even important in the movie. Whereas like the romance is like a key part of A Knight's Tale.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think we'll talk more about A Knight's Tale later. Your next one doesn't have a slash in it, and I think that it deserves one.
Yeah, I saw now, like going to that Google Doc with your list. I forgot this movie existed. Maybe that was like how we have like the black blue dress or the gold white.
No, that's not true.
Like,
I've watched both these movies like 15 times.
I was Team Edward, Team Jacob.
There's not a team. There's not a team.
Is I don't know. It must be because I completely like.
So the movie's Friends with Benefits.
The movie is Friends with Benefits.
And again, you forgot that no strings attached existed.
Yes. You were saying something about the timing of this movie.
Yeah, so it's a pretty funny story. I mean, you can actually go watch Mila Kunis's interview. I don't remember if it's on Jimmy Kimmel. It's on a late night show where she and Ashton had secretly started dating. Not dating. They were friends with benefits during the filming of these movies.
Gotcha.
Like they had seen each other. I think it was at a concert. Don't quote me on that. And just started hooking up. And they both caught feelings but didn't want to say it while they were filming the same movie about doing that. And she's like, she literally says something. She's like, we're just stupid. We're like idiot. Like,
yeah. So I feel like everyone has tried this with partners or like friends. I feel like it's a human experience.
I think that our generation has tried this.
For our generation, it's a human experience where you try to stay friends with someone while being sexually active, and it almost never works. But I think maybe as to why I connect a lot more with Friends with Benefits is some of the other like subplot, whether it's the headhunter and someone moving to LA. You've got or from LA to New York. The like dementia, mental health side of like family stuff. Basically, all the family stuff that goes on with Trey Parker's family. And yeah, having Woody Harrelson's character right, as this openly gay man, as a the head of GQ sports, right, adds extra layers and well needed like representation for that film. And so I think it while Ashton Kutcher is like a more comedic actor, right, like
Oh yeah,
than Justin Timberlake.
I think that movie's way funnier for what it's worth. Like
Yeah,
I think No Strings Attached is like they definitely approached it like you're saying from two different angles, right? Like
yeah.
you know, Ashton they
I
got
still
the
can't get over the whole Bible app on the iPad
oh my
thing.
gosh,
But
it
like,
was so funny.
that
I mean,
was,
don't get me wrong. Like I think that No Strings Attached is just the better movie. Like, there are parts though that are like really endearing of the other one, like the carrots. Like, don't bring me flowers, so he like brings her a bundle of carrots, and in No Strings
Mhm.
Attached. Dude, you have like a mental block on this movie.
yeah, yeah. No, I did.
You
I
have to have
guess
seen it like three
because
times.
I must have, but like I feel like
It's
yeah,
so weird.
it like also for me I think I
You
loved
need to go
the
watch it again.
whole
It's
like
really funny.
I loved the oh, flash mob like stuff
Yes.
that happens in Friends with Benefits
Yes.
because like as
It's
that
so
was
timely. It's so
it was
timely.
part of the time where
I mean, I think
I
that
was
the
involved in a
whole
lot of that.
it's so funny. I remember reading an article um in a magazine, crazy, about both I know, about both these movies when they came out and like the differences and like which one you should go watch because they came out
Mm.
like the same year. It's the same plot and they are they are the same plot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not true. Like one of them's like a headhunter and they like become friends. One of them like
Yeah.
is like, you know, oh man, cover your kids' ears. One of them is like I fingered you at like kids camp, like when we were 12,
Oh, okay.
and like come to be my date to this thing, and it's like, oh, what's the thing? Oh my gosh, you just invited me to your dad's funeral. Like there's like it's almost like new girl comedy, like the awkward comedy versus
Mm.
like classic comedy. Not like do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say.
Um and I think everybody does a good job. I do think that like the realness of Friends with Benefits and like I think that one specifically has like the deeper tones to it, which I always will enjoy in a rom com.
Yeah, awesome.
My next one is one that I actually asked a lot of people about this. I don't think you realize how many people I talked about this episode, Petty B. I like asked like
I mean,
seven.
for what it's worth, it has been a while. Like we've been teasing the
Yeah.
rom-com episode
I asked
for
like seven people
about a
about
month.
this, and I was told that only number one is a rom com. The rest are not rom coms. But my next
Sure.
most watch is Pitch Perfect.
I've seen this movie a lot too.
And what's so funny is I remember that my wife and her Alpha Phi sorority girls are like, hey, you're coming to this movie with us. And I was like, this is going to be the craziest chick flick I've ever seen. And it's one of the funniest movies I've ever watched in my entire life.
Pitch Perfect 1 is so good.
I mean, all of them are hysterical. I mean, 1 and 2 specifically are just both out of this world funny.
Yes.
But like, I have like, oh, you just guessed the greatest cinematic twist in history? His name is Vader. Vader means father in German. His name is literally Darth Vader. Oh, you speak German? No wonder you hate happiness. Like, it's so funny. The writing is insane. The music is amazing. A lot of people don't even like, oh my gosh. Like a lot of people don't even realize what's happening in this sometimes. Like I gotta pull it up. 2012. Man, it's been 12 years since the movie came out. What? She's not even listed. Hold on. I have to get this right because Nicole Levintz, she plays Corey. She's literally the writer on a ton of these songs. So like, you know, like Ed Sheeran and Benny Blanco are like the writers on like a bunch of the songs you love.
Yeah, she definitely wrote
a
S&M.
bunch of this.
Yeah,
like
that. Yeah,
like I mean, the scene with like Anna Kendrick and Brittany Snow's chemistry is amazing. Glenn Platt. I mean, the cast. Did we know this cast was going to blow up? Like when this movie came out, like who was Anna Kendrick when this movie came out? She's like one of the biggest stars in Hollywood now. Skylar Astin is like, it was funny.
Bumper
Bumper
and Donald getting it.
Bumper and Donald, dude. It's. I could if someone was like, "Hey, you want Pitch Perfect?" to me right now, I'd be like, "Yep, yes, I do." Like,
yep.
It is.
Don't have to ask me twice.
It is. Oh man, I'm gonna get so much crap in the comments for this if somebody comments. It is like Gilmore Girls level of like jokes per minute. Like you can't watch the movie. Like you have to watch the movie 20 times before you hear all the jokes because you're laughing the whole time. Because like there's a joke every 15 seconds.
You also have to listen. What is that character's name? The Quiet Age one. You have to listen like very carefully. Like I had to watch it with subtitles to see how funny
I saw
she
this movie in theater like 2 or 3 times. Never understood a line. And then like you watch it at home, you're like, I'm gonna pause this and rewind it because like I want to know what she's saying. Or like you have the captions on and you're like, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. And the 2 girls that don't get kicked out that are in number 2, they're like, we've been here the whole time. Like there's so many subplots and like it's I think Elizabeth Banks wrote it, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's Elizabeth Banks' film.
It's unbelievable. And I like I could watch this movie 200 more times. Anything you want to say on this one before we move on?
That's another one where like I didn't recognize like
it's not a rom-com in your head.
It was like,
and then you're like, wait a second, it is a rom-com. Like the main story is their romance, and it's a comedy. It's just a musical rom-com.
Yeah, I mean, I just set fires to feel joy. So.
When she gets the burrito thunder, I've been hit. It's so funny because like I was at a Magic tournament and they're like, what do you think the funniest movie to come out in the last 6 years is? And I said this was like a couple years, like a while ago. I was like, oh, it's Pitch Perfect.
Happened.
It's Pitch Perfect. They're like, what's wrong with you? Are you gay? I was like, no, have you watched that movie?
Yeah.
Like, there's not a moment that isn't funny in the movie.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's so good.
Your next one almost made my list, but I realized that I only watched it on the DirecTV thing, and that's The Ugly Truth.
That's fair. This is one of my wife's favorites, so that's why this is on the list. And I feel like, and here, correct me if I'm wrong here. Here's my kind of, I was gonna save this for later, but I want to share right now, where like the reason we've seen these movies so much, and why maybe we haven't explored other rom-coms, is like we find a few that we like and we latch on to ones that for us during like a specific time period or what have you, and then we just rewatch those ones. Um, as to why maybe we like haven't explored some of the other ones, but like I've watched so many Gerard Butler romantic comedies because uh, it's my wife's other husband. So you know, there's that.
I watched his entire rom-com era.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a really interesting era too, because like Katherine Heigl was also in
Mhm.
her era at this time.
Huge, yeah. I think these are two actors who are like at the top of their
Their
like
romantic comedy era.
game. Yeah,
Because it's
they're
not
romantic
either of
comedy
their
era.
like their best movies, but
No.
I think the thing about The Ugly Truth is that I I mean I think the thing about honestly a lot of things on your list,
Hmm.
like your list of rom coms, is like there's something to be said about the rated R rom com that we did not get until the 2010s. Like that wasn't like that was the new way to explore this type of movie.
Hmm.
And you know, you have this misogynist that has to come back, right? Like, and then you have this. She's not even like a prude, but she's like,
He's very like straight edge. Like
yeah, she's. Was this
almost not like
before or after
a little out of touch.
Well, yeah, she's out of touch. Was this before or after 27 Dresses?
Ooh, good question. Let me see here.
Because sometimes in my head, I mix them up. And to be honest, like it's crazy because like the balloon scene and like them reconciling is like this is like a classic rom-com with a
Ugly Truth. Sorry, yeah, Ugly Truth came out after 27 Dresses was first.
Oh, I'm so glad that's true because I think this is Katherine Heigl's best rom-com.
Okay.
But also I think it's the best writing. Like the water scene, the like. There's so many good ones in this. But you said this is your wife's. Is this not yours? Like, is this? Have you just watched it the most because of your wife?
I have watched it the most because of my wife.
Why does your wife like
yes.
it?
Like I said, she loves watching her other husband, Gerard Butler, and so this just gets
how much
a lot because he's in the movie. That's up there too. It's in the honorable mentions.
That one's a lot worse for what it's. That's a worse movie.
But
I mean, I literally
it's up there as number one. I have
Bounty Hunter. I own Bounty Hunter. It's literally in the below this TV behind me. So like, don't get me wrong. Like, okay,
yeah.
My next one is one that I think would have been on both of our lists had I not had it on mine. And I'm going to say something, and you can flame me if you want to. I think this is Adam Sandler's best movie he's ever made by, like...
You said that a lot this podcast. About different actors and it being, like, their best movies.
I'm talking about it's like...
You're not wrong.
Like the writer and producer. Like, I think 50 First Dates is one of... Like, this is one that, like... transcends. It's not just a rom-com. It is a story of humanity and like loving people for who they are, where they are, and what they are. And I might cry. Like, this movie's hysterical. Like, if you have not watched this, this movie will be a lot of those that like these are just our recommendations about like just fun things to go and enjoy for a minute. But like, we'll get into this later, but like 50 First Dates is like, it is a beautiful movie about humanity and about loving people. with whatever is happening with them, however they are, and that there can sometimes be more than one solution to a human problem. And I think that, like, you know, I didn't get into it during the friends with benefits, but like I'm really struggling with my grandpa's dementia right now.
Mm.
And it's hard, like, when people start to forget things and forget you and forget whatever, and like, I think the solution of 50 First Dates would work. I think the funny thing is that they handle it really well. That, like, some days it would work,
Yeah. Yeah.
and some days it would not.
It's not. Yeah.
And they address that. They're like, listen, like, what do you want? Do you want them to? What do you want for a person? And
Mm-hmm.
I just I think Sean Astin is hysterical in this movie. I think that Drew Barrymore. I think this is Drew Barrymore's best rom com. I don't know that it's her best movie. Hold on. If you say I've never been kissed, I'm gonna lose my crap. I think that movie sucks. So, you know, everybody come at me in the comments for that one. But I think it's better than
Better than Wedding Singer?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. I mean, it's definitely his best rom com. Like, it's, he should go back to this. This is.
He's done a lot of he's done a lot of rom-coms.
I mean, now he does them with
Aniston.
Yeah. He should go back to Drew will do it with you, buddy. Go back. I think this movie is like,
he's just not that into you?
Is that her?
Yeah.
But that's not her rom-com. Man, you're making me Google stuff on this.
Am I?
That movie's really good.
Oh, I guess it's a scar. It's like, okay.
That's not her movie. That's Jennifer Goodwin's movie. And Scarlett's movie. That's not hers.
Oh, okay.
Dude, you just messed with me. I was like,
like no,
that is a really, really good movie for what it's worth.
Why do you say no on Never Been Kissed?
Oh, I don't even believe in the premise. Like, I have a real, I mean, they make fun of it, obviously, in, like, Not Another Teen Movie, but, like, there's no way a 30-year-old reporter shows up. I say this, but, like, you know, we now had, you know, in the last 2 years, like, people faking that they were on the team in basketball and, like, faking students, but, like, all these people are going to jail. Like, I guess Tom Holland didn't go to jail, but they got permission. I don't know. Never Been Kissed is both not funny to me, and I don't know. It's like, it feels. Why are you asking me this? Like, I can just say my opinion. I don't want to even this. Like, I don't like it. I just think that it's, like, not funny. I think that, like, the premise is weird. I didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
I mean, you can question me. I shouldn't do that. The next one is one that I think I have on my list later, but you have the wonderful one.
Yeah. Our Lord and Savior Marvel Jesus in The Proposal. One of the great parts of Deadpool Wolverine, where he does the fourth wall break and just says the proposal to the camera. um, this movie is so great.
Dude, people tried to cancel this movie this year, and I was not for it. I'm like,
yeah,
like they're like, oh, power dynamic BS, and I'm like, yeah, that's the plot.
that's
That's why it's weird and bad. Like, you can't cancel a movie for the plot being she shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Right? Like this is one of my favorite things that Betty White's in. Like
I think
again,
that scene is movie goat. Like, to the window.
yeah.
To the wall. It is like so when Hogwarts Legacy came out, I don't know if you remember this. I don't think you've played that game because you don't have a.
Nope. Actually, need to get a.
I think you could play it on your console for it. But in by the Hufflepuff house, there is it's by the kitchen because that's where that is, and you can go see the house elves, and there is at certain times of the day or year or whatever, there are two house elves. I don't know if they're making mead or wine or whatever, but they're jumping around in like some kind of bucket of fruit.
Okay.
And they're like waving their arms. And somebody put the
like
sound
wine. Yeah.
of the proposal, which is like, to the window, to the window, to the wall, to the wall, to the sweat, oh, these quo. Ski mother. Ski and it is one of my favorite TikTok clips by so much.
I'll have to find it somewhere.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Okay, great.
So I gotta ask you though, who's better in this movie, Ryan Gosling or
Reynolds?
What?
Reynolds?
Or Ryan Reynolds? Thank you. Or Sandra Bullock?
Oh man.
Because it's obviously Betty White's best movie. She's gassed the whole time.
I think it's Sandy B.
I think so too.
Like, yeah.
She's really good at playing the hard ass.
Yeah.
But like, it works so well.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Yeah. For what it's worth, yeah, the Ryan Reynolds obviously like weaving through the hard assness, and yeah, just like kind of unraveling the onion and like all the different layers to like, oh, I'm not just this, pencil pusher, right? Or I like my family comes from money, right?
What's your favorite scene? Other than the one we talked about, obviously.
Right. Yeah. I was like, that one's up there.
That's the best scene in the movie. It's unbelievable. Betty White's reaction too in that scene, is like when she's like, oh, she's doing it. Like she like gets to do it with her. She doesn't see. Yeah, it's so good. Rest in peace. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I think I really do. I enjoy the scenes with the ICE agents where they're like getting their story straight and like trying to convince this other hard A that they are actually in love and that they're actually getting married. I think there's a lot of good like drier comedy there.
I think that's what this movie does so well. Like there's not like a lot. There's like I think there's I think the only slapstick is like the Pomeranian getting attacked, right? Like
Yeah.
the comedy almost all is super dry. And I think that it was different for the time too, because this was during the age of R-rated rom-coms.
Mm-hmm.
Like they I mean Joe Paxton crushed his role as the dad. Like I don't think he smiled one time in the whole movie. Like they really
We don't like you.
honestly like I think I have two for this one. Um One is when they're on the plane and Andrew tells Margaret that he knows everything about her and she challenges him and he's like, no, like
Yeah.
I
That's great too.
I do actually know everything about you. Just like, oh. And then like she's like, oh yeah, like and then he like talks about her tattoo that he knows she has or that she got removed. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, you do know everything about that one's mine.
That's great too. Yeah.
My last one is one that both of us would have. We got so much to go through on this podcast. I'll go faster. Crazy Stupid Love. I don't even know what to say. Like, if you've never watched this movie, I think I said that we were going to get into a movie that was like A Knight's Tale good as a movie. Yeah. This is the one. Like, this is when we got to do a podcast. I don't even want to like. I'm afraid to talk about it. Like, I want
David Lindhagen.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, I've watched this movie. What's funny is I watched this movie because it's one of my wife's favorites with her. And then it also is one of my favorites. And then it also is one that showed on DirecTV a bunch. I've seen this movie like 50
Just
times.
The perfect apex for you.
Dude, I've seen this movie more than any movie on my list. And it's funny, like I love TikTok, but I hate that TikTok spoiled this movie for so many people. Because I think this is the, like, if you're gonna take every rated R rom-com and be like, what's the best? It's this one by like a cubic mile. Like, it's so good. And the reason I've seen it so much is like every relationship matters, and it shows that like relationship matters, choices matter, and that relationships and choices have consequences. And then at the end of the day, you have to decide what that means to you. And we'll get into it because we're going to talk about the show again. But like, I'd love to talk about the Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, this was going to make your list. Why didn't it make? It was just because I put it on.
Just because, yeah, you had it on your list, so I put something else on there. Yeah, it's. I have also seen this one. I think I scratched the DVD of this one so much because of how much I watched. How much I watched this movie.
This one is also behind me. I both like that's
because we've all had awkward attempts of talking to women.
It's so funny too because like Steve Carell did like this whole like weird guy like romantic
like the 4-year-old version kind of stuff.
And like those are funny. They're whatever. This is good. Like
yes.
Like this is like,
man, if I could have Ryan Gosling as my suave
your suave, like Oh my
to
gosh,
help
that
me
scene is
pick up women.
crazy. I don't want to say it because like TikTok has already spoiled it for so many people. Because that scene comes
What
up
do
on
you
my
mean?
TikTok all the fight scene.
That TikTok spoils. Oh, sure.
Where like they all fight. Like
Yeah.
that scene is on my TikTok every 2 weeks. And the thing
Gotcha.
is,
Okay.
is some people are like, what is this movie? And like, I can't believe this is the part that you're watching of this movie.
Right. Yeah. This is not the point
Like,
that you're
don't
supposed to see.
like this is so stupid. This is ruining this amazing movie for you.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it's where all the the different plot points
Yeah.
just smash right into each other.
But before we before we move on, because I think we are going to do this as a podcast.
I wouldn't be opposed. Yeah.
The scene where they're on the phone together, and she's lying just to talk to him, and he knows it. Is it's very cute. And I've been married for how long? It's been like a long time now, over a decade. And you're gonna fight, and you're like things are gonna get hard, and your kids are gonna make it harder. If you don't have kids, it's still gonna be hard. And Crazy Stupid Love shows it shows everything. Like it captures way too much in a movie, and I love it.
Yeah, there's really something for everyone in it, as far as like where you're at in life and relationships, and it's so good.
He doesn't know. All right. That seems so crazy. Okay. I already talked about your nerddom, but I gotta call this out. She's the man.
Yes.
That
was the other sports rom-com.
Okay. But hold on. This is also Paddy, I'm a Shakespeare dude. I love Shakespeare. But like how many times have you watched this?
So many times.
That's too many.
You know what, Spencer? When my eyes are closed, I see you for what you truly are. And then it's oogly. We're done.
It's so funny. Like I watched this twice this year because why did I do it? I don't remember why. But like it's not good. Like it's not a good movie. It's really funny though. Like I won't lie, it's really, really, really funny. And it is, but like Amanda Bynes, I mean, for what it's worth, this is our second Amanda Bynes movie. We haven't called it out yet. She's so funny.
She's hilarious. And this movie is like, it is a teen like romantic comedy, right? About those kind of relationships there. But also, like, I grew up playing soccer. Like, it was the soccer movie, and like the cast is great, and Channing Tatum is a babe, and I still use tampons to stop nosebleeds. It's fine.
Really?
No.
Oh, I was on the wrestling team, and it was something that we did do sometimes.
Yeah.
Like if it was really like if you got like a bow to a face, we did actually have tampon.
I haven't had one as bad where like I would need it, but that would make sense. Like if you're wrestling and you really catch one.
Yeah. So that because that's what they're made for. That does work.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, just like taking 2 sheets of toilet paper and rolling them, fold, roll, also works that well. But yeah. I have had a I was a varsity wrestler and I have had a tampon in my nose because it does work that well. That's what's funny about that is people are like that's weird, but I think this movie came out and then people realized it was like pretty great for like sports nosebleeds. Like
Yeah.
it's like
And then they just started doing it. Like,
no,
makes sense.
it does
06?
work.
Yeah, it was about the time. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't like 12th Night. I like
Yeah, but it's a great modern like telling of it though.
I don't like
And like challenging the gender like stereotypes like that.
It's so funny because like I think that
she's the better player.
We've talked about like the Lion King a lot, and I think it's a fantastic telling of Hamlet. Like legitimately great. I just don't like 12th Night. I just like to be fair, I've never seen 12th Night. I've only read it and then seen like I've never been to Cedar City for the Shakespeare.
Okay, all right, yeah, you're fair. All right, that's fair. I did live in St. George for many years, so I guess
yeah. Shut up.
I'm biased.
Literally, my wife and I talked about going this year. So shut up.
That's great. Okay.
For those who don't know, the Shakespearean Festival happens next to where Paddy lived, and 4 hours from where I lived. My wife went to school where it happens, and they've all seen it all. And I don't know. How do we not have a Midsummer Night's Dream rom-com? Like, I don't like a 12th Night.
That's fair. That's your
But this movie is hysterical. Like, there's not a moment in this movie where I'm not laughing. So, all right, we're gonna rewind a little bit because some of these are gonna be repeats. But I added something for this one. What is a rom-com you wish you could watch again for the first time? Like, it was so good the first time that you wish you could erase your brain and rewatch it. And I have a number one that will surprise you. And it is, Isn't It Romantic?
Never seen it.
You've never seen it?
I get to have that experience, I guess. So tell me why I need to watch this movie.
I
but like
don't want to
without,
spoil
you know,
it.
all the yeah.
So Isn't It Romantic is a rom-com that makes fun of rom-coms. I think it came out in 2019.
Yes.
And
yeah,
I
remember this
Rebel
one.
Wilson.
Okay.
And Bumpa. Like they put these two together for their own rom-com. And people at this time, people were already say rom-coms were dead. They were like, there's no more good rom-coms. And I was like, this is the best rom-com since Crazy Stupid Love. Like, it's so funny and endearing and true and has more elements that I won't get into.
Gotcha.
It's surprising. I've seen this movie, I think, only 2 or 3 times. But I wish I watched it in theaters, and I think that this is one of those things where, like, sometimes theaters really do make it better. And
gotcha. I could probably see that based off of like looking at the posters and stuff, and it's like the tropes of romantic comedies is like the movie.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Where like, if those flowers that are on the poster are like part of like a visual thing,
you have to
like,
watch this. It's you will be shocked. Like you're like, oh, I know what I'm getting into. This is making fun of romantic comedies, and you're like, well, I expected everything that they did, and then they overperformed. This is in like my top 5 favorite romantic comedies of all time.
Gotcha.
I do think that some of that has to do with the cast. Like, I think that Rebel is like her getting a lead role. I think that she deserved it and knocked it out of the park. But yeah,
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Are we gonna popcorn this or should it go on?
Go on with yours. I'll do mine last because I just have the one.
Okay. Yeah, if I could erase my brain, we already talked about that stuff, but like if I could erase my brain and watch it all over again, I would do it. Like, I can't believe this movie exists and that my wife would be as obtuse as she is about it. Like, I think it's like in my top 10 movies of all time, and I would erase my brain to watch it again 2,000 times. Like, I just like, is there like the scene where they're all weighing him? Like, it's unbelievable what they did, and like obviously the cast went on to like win Oscars and like, you know, be what they are, but they connected those people before that. Like they made A Knight's Tale. They made fun. How do you know how hard it is to make fun of Phil Knight, Patty B? He is one of the richest humans on the planet that has the power. Like, what's funny is I bet he didn't even shut it down. He was like, that's funny. Like, because they did it, and they did it in a good way. Like, they did it in a way. I can't go too far into this. We're gonna do a podcast on this one. Like, it has to happen. But like, if I could erase my brain, it's so funny. Somebody told me, I don't remember who it is. Maybe they didn't tell me. Maybe I listened to this. Somebody watched. I think somebody did tell me this. They watched Fight Club for a whole year. They watch it every day. If you could erase my brain and have me watch A Knight's Tale, I would do it for like that. That sounds like a great year. But I would do it so fast.
Gotcha.
You have to talk. It's an audio podcast.
I know it's an audio podcast. I'm letting you go off. I know how much you love A Knight's Tale, and the other one on your list. We've
yeah. The next one is another one we got off about. Crazy Stupid Love. I don't know. I remember the first time I watched this. As a person with like very like anxiety and ADHD, like I often see plot twists coming. Like,
yeah,
I just like I was talking to my wife about this. I think literally 2 nights ago about my friend that would not talk to me about Game of Thrones the last three seasons because I just called everything that was going to happen 2 episodes in. He's like, you can't talk to me about this anymore.
Stop. Why? What are you doing? Yeah.
And I saw none of Crazy Stupid. Like, I saw none of it.
Yeah. Especially if you've been seeing that climax kind of like pop up on your TikTok feed. I can see like yearning to like go back to have that all erased.
If I erase my brain, I would watch that movie so many times. And the thing is like it. I'm just gonna say, from like learning that your wife cheated on you, to her getting mad at you, that now that you're separated, like you had another relationship or two, to then her calling you and forgiving
with
you.
May Parker. Let's go.
The movie is humanity in a lot of ways, just like A Knight's Tale. Like,
Yeah.
It's humanity imperfect, and it makes the movie better. I have to talk about this. If you're going to watch this movie, you haven't seen it yet. This is a spoiler. We're going to do a podcast on this movie, I think.
So earmuffs if you don't want.
Yes. This is your warning. I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. The fact that Emma Stone blacked out on the dance scene where she was,
Oh, when they were doing the lift?
she was like, and punched him and like doesn't remember any of it, and then he still did La La Land with her is hysterical. Like, hysterical. She blacks out, doesn't remember the lift because she's so terrified, punches him for lifting her too high, doesn't remember that, punches him like 30, I think she says 32 times. Like, just tries to beat him up. Like, you try to kill me.
Part of it.
And then he's like, I forgive you, and does La La Land with her. Is so funny.
I must have missed where. I'll have to go look it up.
She had a full-on panic attack.
Okay. Then and she like tried to deal with that with alcohol.
I don't know
or what
she dealt with it. She didn't she blacked out from like anxiety or panicking. Like,
got you. Okay. I was like, I don't remember that.
No, not like alcohol blackout. Like, I don't remember this. Fight or flight. Beat up Ryan Gosling, who is like a much larger human than me. Doesn't work. Like, let's go.
Yeah. He's great. Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't talk about La La Land.
About what?
I'm surprised we didn't talk about La La Land.
That okay.
As far as things that don't look like a romantic
stupid love before you go into yours.
No, I think we'll talk so much about it.
Yours is crazy to me, and I want you to go off, and I want to say what's on mine.
Okay, great. So, similar to the way that Spencer feels about A Knight's Tale, I feel about The Princess Bride, and I want to make the argument that it is a rom-com. So I've wanted to get some like resources as far as like what makes a rom-com, what like some of the tropes that happen in rom-coms that like apply, and I'll apply them here to Princess Bride. So this is nofilmschool.com. This is they're talking about like what kind of defines a rom-com. Is the plot centered around a love story? Does it make you laugh more than it makes you cry? If you pull the love story out of the movie, is it still a movie?
I need to check some of mine on that one. You have to laugh more than you cry?
That's what they're saying.
Is it like the amount of time crying versus laughing? Because like I cry harder during A Knight's Tale.
Sure, but you cry a lot.
I know. I'm just teasing you.
So,
it's fine.
And now this other one, it may be damning for some of the things that like we want to call a rom-com. If you pull the love story out of the movie, is there still a movie, or does the whole thing collapse?
Oh,
right, and that's where like.
Okay, can I do this one really quick?
Yeah.
From the three,
yeah,
Hitch does not work if you pull out the love story.
That's what they're saying, right?
Yeah,
is like
no. That I'm saying. So I'm saying, are these rom-coms?
Sure.
A Knight's Tale, I do not believe works if you pull out the love story. Like I don't think it works.
Great, so it qualifies.
Pitch Perfect might work without
it. Might
the love story. 50 First Dates obviously does not. I mean, Crazy Stupid Love has 7 love stories in it. It obviously doesn't work.
Yeah.
Easy A does not need any love story. Like doesn't need one.
I mean, it's centered around her like having romantic relationships with all these people.
No. But the one that she ends up with could be removed, and the movie does still exist.
I don't know if that's the case, because that's like she wants to have that, but can't because of all the other things surrounding
I
it.
think that you
Like
could get
all that gets in the way
the same
of
message
that
across
relationship.
without Woodchuck being in the movie at all.
Ah,
Friends with benefits, and yeah, neither of them could exist. The Ugly Truth couldn't exist. The Proposal couldn't exist. She's the Man couldn't exist. Isn't It Romantic couldn't exist. The Princess Bride couldn't exist. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
the only ones we have one in both. I think that Pitch Perfect and Easy A maybe could not classify.
possible. Yeah, where some of the tropes opposite attracts, a couple from very different worlds or different personalities fall in love, right? Wesley is a poor farm boy, and um, Buttercup is a princess.
No,
Um,
no, she's not. Hold on, time out. When was the last time you watched this movie? She's handpicked. She's not a princess.
hmm?
But Buttercup is not a princess. Not like
I
she's.
guess she didn't start as a princess.
Oh, okay.
Sure,
All right.
and she it
Anyway,
eventually is a princess. She's a princess in the movie. Um, not when they fall in love, but I would suggest that storming the castle is a grand romantic gesture,
yeah.
and that um, those two get a second chance at love after
I mean,
he goes off.
now for what it's worth, for the ones that we disqualified, Pitch Perfect does a lot of those. Maybe Pitch Perfect qualifies. Easy A
Yeah,
does not.
you know what? I
Hold on.
refuse to. Yeah,
Hold on. I like Easy A being on our list because I think that,
yeah.
like it is it. If I'm not wrong, like
I feel like Easy A kind of has a bit of the false identities. One or both characters conceal their true identity, or leading to complications and misunderstandings.
Yeah,
And it's those
okay.
complications and misunderstandings that
I like that. All right, I'm gonna qualify all of our movies now.
great.
I like it. I like it. Thank you for doing that.
So yeah, so
Does the Princess Bride qualify? Obviously, yes.
100%.
Well, then it should have been in mine. I've seen this movie more than every other movie
anything
we've said on my entire list. I think I said this on the podcast before, but the day that I learned my wife had never seen The Princess Bride, I stopped what we were doing and we watched The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I think that it is. There are not a lot of things that are better than the book. I bought the audiobook because I was like, oh, I love The Princess. Yeah, better than the book by a lot.
That's great.
I think The Princess Bride is a top 15 movie of all time. If it qualifies as a rom-com, it might be the number one rom-com, in all honesty. If you're gonna rank rom-coms,
sure.
That's crazy to me.
And that's one that I would love to experience again for the first time.
Yeah, dude. If you could erase your brain and watch The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Dude, what's funny is
great.
you just wait 10 years, you watch it again, and it's still... You forget a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was doing. This happened last week where somebody said something about something, and I thought about the Six-Fingered Man. And I was like, yeah. Dude, I quote that movie way too. I'll just say it again because we're in this episode. My wife told me that she had never seen this movie, and I know I've said this in the past, but I was like, "What do you mean?" I quote this movie every week, multiple times a week. She's like, "Yeah, I've never seen it," and I was like,
"You never bothered to ask, well, what's that from?"
I just said these things, and you were just like, "Okay."
Just like, ooh.
What is that? I don't know what that says about our relationship. Every time I said anybody want a peanut, you never asked what I meant. That makes no sense. That's a psycho.
I think you're just like ironically
you were married
asking
to me.
if anybody wanted
you're
a peanut.
married to a man that says something you have no idea what anybody want a peanut, and you're like, yeah, that's fine. I don't care. I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you're saying, but I'll stay married. Like you should be worried about that human if you have no idea what he's talking about. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
I really love this classic rom-com section because no, talk about it. You go first.
Yeah. I really like. I guess I was having a hard time. Like, what's a classic? Like,
Oh, it's like
and that's
Sleepless in Seattle,
okay.
Never Been Kissed,
Gotcha.
Sweet Home
Okay.
Alabama. Like they're like the pop culture rom-coms.
Okay.
What's funny? I think we've
Sweet
mentioned a zero of them. Actually,
Yeah.
I mentioned Never or While You Were Sleeping, which I think is
or like Harry Met Sally.
I've never seen it. That is one though. That is one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Every time I watch one of these, they feel like the same story. Whereas I feel like everything we mentioned were unique stories that happened to be rom-coms.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think that is why we will go into our next segment, which is where are rom-coms today? Like, what happened? And I think what happened is, right, like, studios stopped picking up rom-coms because they're not as lucrative. But, like, that's not true. Like, all of the things that we talked about made tons of money, were rewatched, were loved, and it's like, it is... So here's the thing. What's not going to happen is you're not going to make 27 dresses again. But that's because 27 dresses has been made. You're not going to make he's got mail or she's got whatever, they got mail, whatever their email is.
You got mail.
Again. Because you know what? Nobody wants a freaking thing about DMs. And also, they already made it. Miley Cyrus started it, and it didn't make any money. So, like, I don't know. Like, the thing is I would take some of the things that we talked about that we love. Like, you have A Knight's Tale, Crazy Stupid Love, honestly, I think that yours, like the Friends with Benefits, like, capture what is happening. Capture the truth about, like, romance today. And also, don't just capture relationships that aren't happening. One of the greatest things about Crazy Stupid Love is it captures every phase of a relationship. Capture that marriage is hard. Capture polyamorous relationships. Capture, like, the reason that romantic comedy is failing.
Child crushes, right?
Child. What?
Like your teen crush.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. Capture something that isn't just I met a person, I fell in love, there was hardship, what's next? Like,
yeah,
those are the ones that are gonna last. I mean, honestly, like, even 10 Things I Hate About You, that's a compelling story. Like, these people were trying to make each other hate each other, and they still fell in love. Like, you have to make something out of a hardship. Out of love is hard. If anything we learned from Hitch, from Crazy Stupid Love, from A Knight's Tale, like love is hard. It's hard. Make it hard in the show, and don't make it obviously hard. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely not like the big budget things too, right? Like you it I don't know why I don't know why studios don't make more of them. Like, and even the ones today, like we'll go a little bit into like some of the like today's rom-coms. Just I don't know, something's
Should we do that
different.
really quick?
Sure, yeah.
I feel like the Christmas ones have actually been really good, and I don't know if
Okay.
that has to do with like I have Holiday on my list. I almost had the other one with her, with Hayden Christensen, but I didn't
Mm,
want it on there because it ruined Hayden Christensen's marriage, so I didn't want to
oh,
include it.
sure.
I think it's Love in Italy or whatever, or in Little Italy. But like, have you seen Love Hard?
I don't think so. No. I haven't seen any of the ones on my list either. Like
Oh,
I've got a lot of watching to do.
oh my gosh. It's holiday season. Love Hard and Holiday are both absolutely amazing holiday rom coms. And one of the things that
Okay.
they do really well is they take the Hallmark thing and they make it more realistic. Like Hallmark is like formulaic, and they make it really good. Holiday is really cool because they're like, it's based on, hey, I need a date for the holidays, or else I'm going to get made fun of. Come be my date. Love Hard is about ghosting
Mm,
and surprising them for the holiday. My last one is No Hard Feelings. This one, I did not understand the thrashback because people are like, how dare you have a 30-year-old date a 18-year-old kid? And the whole movie is about how you should not have a 32-year-old dating an 18-year-old kid
hmm.
and why it was wrong and they shouldn't do it.
Oh, it's another. Okay, sorry. I was looking at these holiday rom-coms. Um
But like in all three of my, I loved all three of these movies. Like I like, to me, like all of these rom coms were really fun and enjoyable. And I just think that like here's the thing that I'll say: we are too quick to just cancel a movie by its premise rather than watch the movie and see if it disagrees with the premise.
yeah, that's yeah. I mean, we're we're pretty quick to keyboards for
I'm just
as
saying,
a
like, Holiday, you shouldn't do that. Yep, that's what the movie's about. Love Hard. Yep, you shouldn't ghost people. Or, sorry, not ghost, catfish. I said that wrong earlier. Shouldn't catfish
gotcha.
people.
Okay.
Yep, you shouldn't do that. That's what the movie's about. No hard feelings. Yep, a 32-year-old should not date an 18-year-old. That's the whole point of the movie.
Gotcha.
Watch the
Yeah.
movie. Anyway,
Yeah.
what are yours about recent?
So a lot of well, I'm noticing that a lot of these more recent rom-coms are star a certain Glenn Powell.
Okay.
Just like he's like kind of in all of them. He may be like the new kind of like McConaughey, where it felt like he was in like a lot of them, if not all of them. So then that got a lot of attention recently for various reasons. Um, and all these are on my like C list. like that I need to watch. That list keeps getting bigger and bigger the more that we go. But I intended to see Challengers. It's the tennis um movie where it's the relationship between Zendaya playing their coach and these two professional tennis players. I thought that was an interesting concept and a kind of a different spin on the love triangle and that aspect of it. Um, I think Anyone But You was a good. I again still need to see it, but the kind of attention that it got um, was good for the genre, right? To get people talking about rom coms again. Um, and Fall Guy was another one that like I it seems like another clever take, like a concept that hasn't been really done. Um, so those three new ones kind of intrigue me and give me hope for the genre. I can't hear you, buddy.
Is Fall Guy not the video game movie?
That's Free Guy. Um,
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what this is. I have to watch it now.
yeah, so Fall Guy, it's about a stuntman. So it came
Oh,
out
I know what
this
this
year.
is. I wanted to watch this.
Yeah, it's got Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt.
That's dope. Can I ask before we wrap up? That's so cool. I'm glad you said that one because that was one on my list of like I think you're great. Is there if you we mentioned so many movies. What three would you say if you have not watched them,
Like,
you have to watch them?
well, Crazy Stupid Love. Um, I mm, yeah, a lot of mine are on your list. I think Crazy Stupid Love, um, Hitch, and I'd say and 50 First Dates.
You said that because you gave me a Knight's Tale, right?
Yeah, I'm
That's okay.
I'm not gonna. Yeah,
No. I know. Uh, yeah. All right, I won't take yours. I would say a Knight's Tale. I mean, if you haven't seen The Princess Bride, you have to watch it. It's one of the best movies ever made. Um,
yeah. I didn't I I feel like A Knight's Tale and The Princess Bride, while we can classify them as rom coms, like I wouldn't.
so you're just taking my whole list right now?
No,
I'm just kidding.
like
I'm
those are
teasing.
those are the like if you haven't seen any rom coms and you've listened to us talk about rom coms for the last 2 hours, that um those are great places to start.
Yeah, I think that you took the like the classic rom com like Crazy Stupid Love, Hitch, and 50 First Dates are like the classic ones. Like A Knight's Tale. Uh, I really love what you did with Princess Bride, and
Yeah.
honestly, I I I would say if you haven't watched Isn't It Romantic, like
Mm-hmm.
you have to watch it last. Like you have to watch a bunch of rom coms
And then
before
so
you
you can
watch
get all
Isn't
the
It
trope jokes.
Romantic.
That makes sense.
But if you have, it is this very cute, meta, fun movie that is for those people. So that would be my answer. Patty B, where can people find you?
Well, this week they can find me on the Constructive Criticism podcast, where we're gonna do a pick two set review. for the foundation set.
I don't know which order these are going to come out, but I love that you said
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where they can find me. You may find me on Gen Z Twitter as coined by Nicholas Lassen, also known as Blue Sky. Um, so I may be making a shift over there, but currently I'm Patty B MTG on X, formerly known as Twitter.
that. Is that not your Blue Sky?
You can get it also my Blue Sky. Yes.
Okay. You can find me at Spencer13H on Blue Sky and Threads. I really am moving off of Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't really have a reason to be there other than my follower count, and like I've already been blacklisted a long time ago for blocking Elon. Like when he took over, my views went down, and my everything went down. Like when he, I'm gonna just say this publicly on this podcast. When Elon took over, and I had already blocked him. My Twitter disappeared. Like people can't see my tweets. They can't interact with them. And what was so funny is like other people were like, "Hey, why are your tweets so bad?" I was like, "I don't know." Like, and they're like, "Do you have Elon blocked?" I was like, "Yep." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you can't do that. It will blacklist you." And like, I think it's a disgusting practice. I think that I don't know. Yeah, so I have Elon blocked, and thus my Twitter that had, thousands of followers suddenly got hundreds of views, and I'm happy to leave it. I don't even care anymore.
Yeah. I think I was watching like a pirate software, whatever. Like talk about like the difference, right? Like, oh, I've got so many less followers on B Sky, but the interactions are better.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like my Threads interactions are through the roof.
Yeah.
Like, I get 20,000 people responding to me on there, but because I have Elon blocked, I'm blacklisted.
Yeah,
and it's a disgusting practice, and he should be ashamed.
I've just got to make sure. I get a lot of my like fantasy football news from like Twitter and
I'm
stuff.
not getting on my sports Twitter, and I won't pretend that I am.
Yeah, so that's one thing that maybe like the sports side will be a little slower to gravitate over, but like
people
Magic
are trying to
content
say that
creation,
they were going to Blue Sky today, but like until it actually happens,
right.
I just won't move sports until sports moves. So
yeah,
like, comment, subscribe, review. It's the best way to support the show. We love y'all. It really does help the show. And I just want to give a shout out. Like we had quite a few listeners between Spotify, Apple, and stuff for our Harry Potter review. We will put the rest of them on the schedule, and we appreciate it. Thank you everybody so much for listening, and we'll see y'all next time for a brand new episode of the wonderful Need to Nerd podcast.
Bye everyone.